Flap sequencing in the secondary mode is the same as in the primary mode.
Secondary mode operation with electric motor drive is much slower than primary mode operation. The ICAS caution message, flaps primary, is displayed when any flap group is in the secondary mode. The message is displayed continuously, regardless of whether the flaps are currently in transit. The ICAS caution message, flaps drive, is displayed when a flap group fails to move to the commanded position in both the primary and secondary modes. Primary and secondary power is shut off to the failed drive unit. The flaps drive message is also displayed when the FCUs detect an asymmetry condition in the trailing edge flaps. Primary mode operation is immediately shut off, and the secondary mode is not used. The ICAS caution message, flaps primary, is displayed when any flap group is in the secondary mode. The message is displayed continuously, regardless of whether the flaps are currently in transit. Let's look at flap position indications in the secondary mode. An expanded flap position indication is automatically displayed on ICAS if any flap group is in the secondary mode or if any non-normal flap position is detected. The position of each flap group is indicated separately. Leading edge flap positions are displayed on the upper part of the indication, and trailing edge flap positions are displayed on the lower part of the indication. The position commanded by the flap lever is displayed in magenta when flaps are in transit and green when all leading and trailing edge flaps reach the commanded position. A separate vertical indicator displays the position of each inboard and outboard trailing edge flap. If a drive failure or asymmetry condition exists in either trailing edge flap group, the vertical indicators for the failed group are displayed in amber. When flaps 1 is selected, the position commanded by the flap lever is displayed at the top of the trailing edge flap indicators because trailing edge flaps are fully retracted at flaps 1.
There are also separate indicators for the outboard, mid-span, and inboard leading-edge flap groups on each wing.
An empty box indicates a retracted leading-edge flap group. The box is white if the flap group position agrees with flap lever position. The box is amber if the flap group position disagrees with the flap lever position. Box with diagonal lines indicates a leading edge flap group in transit. The box end lines are white during the normal transit time. The box end lines are amber if the flap group is still in an in-transit position after the normal transit time. Solid box indicates an extended leading edge flap group. The box is green if the flap group position agrees with flap lever position. The box is amber if the flap group position disagrees with flap lever position. Now let's discuss the alternate mode of flap control. The ICAS caution message, flaps control, is displayed if all three FCUs fail in their control function. An alternate control mode which bypasses the FCUs can be manually selected. The alternate mode provides no asymmetry protection and uses simplified sequencing. The alternate flaps selector and alternate flaps arm switch are located on the center panel. Pushing the alternate flaps arm switch to alternate connects the alternate flaps selector directly to the electric motors in all leading and trailing edge flap drive units. The flap lever is inoperative when the alternate mode is armed. The flaps control message is displayed any time the alternate flaps arm switch is in alternate, regardless of whether FCU failures have occurred. With the arm switch in alternate, rotating the alternate flaps selector to retract or extend moves the flaps in the desired direction using the electric motors. The selector is not spring-loaded to the off position, and the flaps will continue to drive until the selector is rotated to off or the flaps reach the retract or extend limit. With the alternate flaps selector in the off position, the flaps will not move. Let's look at sequencing in the alternate mode. During extension, all flap groups begin extending simultaneously. Trailing edge flaps extend to a maximum setting of flaps 25. During retraction, all leading edge flap groups retract after the inboard trailing edge flaps are completely retracted.
Question. Answer B is correct.
Now let's discuss flap position indication in the alternate mode. An expanded flap position indication is displayed any time the alternate flaps arm switch is in the alternate position. The indication is similar to the expanded indication used in the secondary mode, except that flap position index marks at 5 and 25 are displayed instead of the position commanded by the flap lever. Index marks are used by the flight crew as a guide to position the flaps to the desired setting. Next, we will discuss the flap load relief function of the FCUs. Flap load relief protects the flaps from excessive air loads. Flap load relief is available with flaps 25 or 30 selected. It does not function in the secondary or alternate mode. If the flap airspeed limit is exceeded with flaps 30 selected, the flaps automatically retract to the 25 position. If airspeed is still excessive at flaps 25, the flaps automatically retract to flaps 20. Similarly, if the airspeed limit is exceeded with flaps 25 selected, the flaps automatically retract to flaps 20. When airspeed is sufficiently reduced, the flaps extend to the selected position. ICAS advisory message, flap relief, is displayed when the flap load relief system is active.